On the 5th year of the Transmigrator occupying my body, she finally grew tired. Without hesitation, she left this world with her system. What she left me was a spoiled son and an unusually indifferent husband. Before I could even sort out my thoughts, a row of bullet comments suddenly flashed before my eyes. What kind of disastrous start is this? It's my first time seeing such a dumb transmigrated heroine. She arrived 5 years early, made a complete mess of things. And now the original owner has to come back and clean up the mess. Exactly. She was supposed to come and correct the minor antagonist, warm up to the major antagonist, and keep the family from bothering the main couple, but instead, aside from avoiding her own death, she spent the rest of her time enjoying herself, ruined the child, pushed away the husband. Now I can't stand the sight of this family. They should all just die, honestly. It turns out I was just an early death cannon fodder in the novel, and my husband and child were both villains. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. The scrolling bullet comments before my eyes continued to list the young villain's misdeeds: rude, bad-tempered, selfish, and bullying other children. Before I could sort out my thoughts, a sudden noise came from beside me. A child as round as a ball came thumping down the stairs. Call it mother's intuition, but I knew instantly that this was my child. Spotting me in the living room, he ran straight to the refrigerator as if he hadn't seen me. The nanny came chasing after him. Oh dear, my little master. You've already had 3 ice creams today. If you get a stomachache again, the master will scold me when he comes back. The chubby little boy turned a deaf ear. The nanny looked at me pleadingly for help. What's the use of the nanny looking at her? She's the biological mother who's been absent for 5 years. Out of guilt, she'll only spoil the child even more. To be honest, am I the only one who thinks the previous transmigrator was like a fake? She was supposed to give the little villain maternal love, but all she did was indulge him. Now the kid is worse off than before, so fat he's even lost his only redeeming feature, his looks. As the twig is bent, so grows the tree. You can already foresee him growing up to indulge in drinking, gambling, and whoring, then beating and cursing his parents. If this little pig-headed brat dies, I wouldn't feel the slightest bit sorry. Reading this, I couldn't take it anymore. Noelle, put the ice cream down. I remember when I was 8 months pregnant. This was the name Marius and I decided on. Noelle gave me a disdainful look. You're so annoying. Mind your own business. He finished by provocatively shoving a large spoonful of ice cream into his mouth. The milky white ice cream smeared half around his lips, and his eyes, already narrowed to slits by his chubby cheeks, squinted even further, seeing me still staring at him. Noelle arrogantly raised his hand and flipped me off with both middle fingers. Instantly, a surge of pent-up fury ignited in my chest. Spoiling the child? Not a chance. I grabbed hold of the little wild boar. Who taught you to flip the bird? Huh? Where'd you learn that? Let go of me. Let go of me. If you don't let go now, just wait until my dad comes back. You'll be sorry. Heh, raising a child to be like this. Marius will get 2 slaps from me when he returns. I directed the stunned nanny to go fetch me some tape, then gripping Noelle's middle finger, I wrapped his remaining fingers around it. You like flipping the bird, huh? Well, keep it up then. Noelle didn't cry, but raised both fists, glaring at me like an angry little crab. When Dad gets back, I'm telling him you bullied me. Don't expect your allowance this month. You won't be buying any more of those crappy jewels. When will your dad be back? Noelle pouted without saying a word. I glanced at the nanny. The master has gone on a business trip to City S and should be back in about a week. Is he always like this? The nanny hesitated and whispered, when the master is here, he behaves a little better. I nodded and instructed the nanny not to untie him, then turned and went upstairs. I never expected that after all these years. The villa's decor hadn't changed at all. The little horse figurine, whose half ear I had broken off, was still in its place. 5 years ago, I lost consciousness right after giving birth. Then, I felt as if I were trapped in a dream I couldn't wake up from. I could feel my body speaking and acting, yet it's hazy, as if seen from a third-person perspective. I thought I had merely taken a nap. Only after reading the bullet comments did I realize 5 years had passed. Following my memory, I walked to the bedroom door. A password lock I'd never seen before stopped me at the door. Sigh. The cannon fodder sister probably doesn't know this lock was installed specifically to keep her out. By the way, has anyone figured out the password? That transmigrator tried to sneak in for a surprise attack earlier but failed after several attempts. No idea. she tried the little villain's birthday, the cannon fodder sister's birthday, Marius's birthday, she went through them all. She even triggered the villa's alarm system from too many wrong attempts. The panicked look on her face at that moment nearly killed me with laughter, not to mention Transmigrators, even we have never seen Marius's room. Seeing this, I raised an eyebrow and entered a password I knew by heart. Ignoring the barrage of holy shit comments in the bullet chat, I pressed down on the door handle. Sure enough, the layout of the bedroom remained unchanged. Even the color of the bedsheets is exactly the same as when I went to the hospital to give birth 5 years ago. The only difference is that there are a few locked diaries on the bedside table. It seems that over the years, Marius has gotten used to locking away all the important things. I casually picked one up and took a look. The pages of a few diaries appeared to have been soaked in water, badly crumpled. The barrage was all anticipating me to crack the code and peek into Marius's secrets. I ignored it and put it back exactly where it was. At dinner, the housekeeper was about to prepare the meal based on Noel's order, but I stopped her. No need to trouble yourself, starting today, he's going on a diet. I glanced at his little fist wrapped in bandages. Let's start with an all-veggie sandwich for him today. Why, just because I flipped you off, you're going to torture me like this? Noel protested loudly. I shook my head and looked him straight in the eyes. You see. You also know that giving the middle finger is bad behavior, especially since I'm your mother, but you didn't apologize to me. And making you lose weight isn't meant to punish you, it's for your health. Noel puffed out his cheeks and didn't argue for a long while, only muttering softly under his breath. You're the one who's not. The second half of the sentence was too quiet. I didn't catch it, but it probably wasn't anything nice either. During the meal, Noel signaled for me to remove the tape for him, still planning to flip the bird next time. He didn't look at me, pouting his little mouth. I won't compete anymore. After a moment of silence, he finally said, I'm sorry, honestly speaking, the cannon fodder sister has a way of dealing with bratty kids. I was laughing so hard watching this. If the little villain hadn't apologized, his fingers would probably have gone numb. More, please, I love to see it. Wait, doesn't the cannon fodder sister consider the consequences? It's not 5 years ago anymore. The Transmigrators have worn out Marius's feelings. If he comes back and actually turns hostile, if the early deceased white moonlight turns into a blue cause and white fruit scenario, I'd really be done for. Marius turning hostile against me, honestly. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Marius, it remains unknown whether he will turn hostile. Noel was the first to have reddened eyes at the dinner table. He pointed at the sandwich with lettuce and fried egg. Is this all you're eating? I nodded. Even the eggs were kept as they were because I was afraid he wouldn't adjust, so I didn't immediately switch to boiled eggs. I won't eat this. I want sweet and sour spare ribs. If you don't eat, then go hungry. Noel rolled his eyes, snorted, and jumped off the stool, running away. I sighed, not wanting to push things too far, but the little one just wouldn't take the hint. I put down my chopsticks, called the nanny, grabbed a trash bag, and began searching for Noel's hidden snacks. There he was, crouched by the bed, munching on chips with his little butt in the air. Noel got caught red-handed, as snack after snack fell into the trash bag. His tiny hands trembled. You're not playing fair, he cried. I turned a deaf ear. Noel, seeing that he couldn't stop me, he quickly stuffed the last remaining potato chips into his mouth and chewed frantically. Seeing me leave, he breathed a sigh of relief. Little did he expect that I would turn around and head straight into his favorite home theater and study. The kid is quite shrewd, knowing not to put all eggs in one basket, but this trick of his, I played it too when I was little. Now Noel has completely broken down. Woo-woo, spare the snacks, please, I beg you. My limited edition gift box, I saved up my allowance for so long to buy it, and I couldn't bear to eat it until now. Take my life if you must, but don't take the life of my snacks. Snacks, how can I live without you? Snacks. Noel was genuinely crying now, wiping his tears and sniffling quietly. Ha 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 ha. Watching the little chubby kid cry is kinda funny, feels adorable. I can't stand kids crying, but Noel cries so softly, not like other kids who wail loudly and hurt your ears. Otherwise I would have left long ago. Replying to the above, kids scream loudly to gain adults' sympathy. Could it be that Noel subconsciously knows the Transmigrator isn't his real mom? Damn, that's some next-level creepy thinking. I crouched down and hugged Noel, patting him while explaining that the snacks were just being put away for safekeeping and not thrown out. As long as he ate properly from now on, they would be returned to him. he instantly stopped sobbing, leaned his head against my shoulder, and clutched my sleeve, whispering, "Mom." I responded with a soft yes, be a good baby. After the snack incident, Noel became inexplicably well-behaved, but he still couldn't shake off the habit of sneaking snacks. In just 2 days, I engaged in a battle of wits with him 300 times, until I played my trump card. I discussed with Noel that it's okay if he really wants to eat snacks, but he must burn off however much he eats. At first, Noel didn't take it seriously and agreed readily, until the evening walk. I pulled out a balance bike. Noel thought I bought it for him and excitedly thanked me. He froze for a moment when he saw me plop down onto it, then generously said, "It's okay. Mom can play first." I smiled without a word, fastening the belt and rope around him. Noel looked at me in confusion. I said, "You've had 2 bags of chips, a box of ice cream, a pack of spicy sticks, 2 pieces of chocolate, and a small cake today. Mom did the math. Just taking a walk won't burn off those calories, so come join me for a fun and loving parent-child activity." Yes, that's right. So-called parent-child activities are me sitting on a wiggle car, Noel pulling me from the front. I'm a kid, Then choose between the parent-child activity and the snacks. Noel remained silent. Noel kept his head down and pulled the cart. Noel was exhausted into a meme. After the weekend, Noel was sent to kindergarten by the nanny. I took some time to check the company's operational status. This company was originally co-founded by Marius and me. He handles the technical side, while I take care of public relations and promotion. Marius is a true introvert, not good at dealing with people. Who would have thought that 5 years later, the company would be thriving under his management? Even the dividends from my shares have multiplied several times over. This gave me a sense of relief. Even if things between us reached the worst possible outcome, I still had the capital to make a comeback. I quickly caught up on the information gap of the past 5 years online, planning to find some reliable investment projects. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Noel's parent. Noel has been hitting other children at school. The parents of the other child are already here. Please come over immediately. Bullet comments. Here we go, the first classic face-slapping plot twist. Could there be some misunderstanding? Noel already got scolded by Sister Cannon Fodder. How dare they still act so arrogantly? There's no misunderstanding. I saw it clearly. Noel did it on purpose. Born evil. When will that whole family die? It's infuriating to watch, but Fatty Goo bullying the female lead's daughter is like kicking an iron plate. That fat bastard thinks his family's dirty money makes him special. Little does he know the male lead is the crown prince of the Beijing elite. Once he comes chasing after his wife, he'll bankrupt their family in minutes. Reading this, I raised an eyebrow and silently noted down this piece of information. When I arrived, Noel was standing in the corner with his head down, silent. Not far away, an elegant woman was holding a little girl, comforting her softly, probably afraid I might argue. The teacher immediately showed the surveillance footage, saying it was a beating might be too severe, but Noel did indeed push someone. I crouched down. Did this little kid insult you? Noel looked at me and shook her head. Then did she bully you or do something hurtful to you where others couldn't see? Noel pondered for a moment, then shook his head. Stop asking, cannon fodder sis. The female lead's daughter was just playing with her toys when that fatso Goo ran over to talk to her. When she ignored him, he pushed her. What a kid. TSK. Who understands this? There's this helpless feeling like you can't slap someone through the screen. A father-born, mother-ungrazed thing. If this were my kid, I'd kick him twice first to vent my anger. Even though the barrage of comments explained the whole story in bits and pieces, I still insisted on asking, why did you bully someone? Noel turned his head away, refusing to look at me. I patted his head and didn't press further. Instead, I turned to the female lead and softly apologized, assuring her that we would cover the child's medical expenses, nutritional costs, and the parents' lost wages. The previously aggressive female lead actually let out a sigh of relief. She probably thought that with a child like this, the parents would be difficult to deal with, but she didn't expect me to be quite sincere in my attitude. In the afternoon, I took Noel out of school early. Before leaving, the teacher specifically stopped me. Noel's mom. I'm not trying to complain, but Noel bullying other kids in kindergarten isn't the first time. Before it was always boys. And bumps and bruises are normal. So when you sent the nanny I didn't say anything. But this time he's gone even further by picking on a girl. As you saw, that child didn't provoke him at all, no matter how busy you parents are. You still have to take responsibility for the children you bring into this world. After leaving the teacher's office, Noel, who was waiting outside, pursed his lips and looked at me. He probably expected me to scold him, but I didn't say anything. Even after we got home, I acted as usual. Instead, Noel looked visibly uneasy. Every now and then, he would come over to check on me. During meals, he no longer tried to outsmart me and obediently ate in the order of vegetables, meat, and staple food. While taking a walk, he ingratiatingly offered to continue pulling the cart. I turned him down. I told him his calorie intake wasn't over the limit today, so he didn't need intense exercise. He lowered his head and muttered, "Oh." Seeing him like that, I actually felt relieved inside. This proves my child is at least not beyond redemption. Sure enough, it didn't take long. He came over and tugged at my sleeve. You're not going to scold me about today," I said gently. "I believe in my child." Before knowing the reason, I don't want to wrong you hastily. Even if everyone says it's your fault, I still want to hear your side. At least, you'll always have the right to explain first with me. As soon as the words left my mouth, Noel burst into tears. He threw himself into my arms, apologizing repeatedly. He said he truly didn't mean it. He just wanted Lucy to pay attention to him and play with him. The other kids in kindergarten gave him nicknames, calling him fat and a bully, saying he was like John from Doraemon. Only Lucy never called him by a nickname. Noel said through tears, "I'm not John. I didn't hit anyone. They were the ones who started calling me names first. I just didn't want them to do that, so I acted tough. I wanted to play with Lucy, but I didn't expect her to fall. I was wrong. I'm sorry." "I'm sorry, Lucy." Bullet comments. Truly the female lead's daughter, so adorable and sensible, a real little angel. Ha 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 ha. Fat Tiger, what a fitting nickname. His classmates sure know how to come up with nicknames. Is this funny? Giving nicknames is bullying. Those who haven't experienced it wouldn't understand the helplessness when the more you tell them to stop, the more they persist. I can somewhat empathize. Isn't this just the dropped cup test? The moment Noel loses his temper, it immediately confirms he's both overweight and prone to violence. Sometimes, children can be the most skilled bullies. A pang of sorrow tugged at my heart. Only after Noel's emotions gradually stabilized did I begin to reason with him. I explained that whether Lucy wanted to play with him was entirely her choice, and he shouldn't resort to bullying to get her attention after Lucy ignored him. Seeing Noel's somewhat confused expression, I decided to give an example. It's like when people call you Fat Tiger, and you clearly express your dislike, but no one listens. They even treat it as a joke and force you to accept it. You'd feel unhappy and think they're annoying, right? That's what it feels like to be disrespected. Were your actions today unintentionally the same as those kids? Noel pondered for a moment, then nodded with a sad expression, indicating that he wouldn't do it again in the future. I took the opportunity to ask, "So what should you do tomorrow?" "I will go and apologize to Lucy." "What if Lucy doesn't accept it?" He looked at me firmly and said, "Lucy has the right not to accept my apology. I won't bother her anymore. I'll work hard to improve, and wait for her to forgive me." As I gently patted his little head, Noel pursed his lips again and whispered, "Mom, I feel really sorry for Lucy. I want to make it up to her. Is that okay?" The next day, I surprisingly agreed to Noel bringing a big snack pack to kindergarten. Then I called out to him just as he was about to leave. I told him that if anyone called him Fat Tiger again, he should firmly and seriously express that he doesn't like it and tell the teacher that their behavior hurt him. Noel lowered his head. "What if they don't listen to me? What you needed to do, you've already done. The rest is their problem, their parents' problem. Don't blame yourself for others' bad behavior. That's just foolish." Bullet comments. Exactly, that's how it should be. If I tell you I don't like the nickname you call me, and you keep using it, then you're the one who can't understand human language and lacks upbringing. What does that have to do with me? What a brilliant way to separate issues. No internal conflict. Love it, love it. A bit envious of the little villain. The cannon fodder sister is so gentle as a mom. Am I the only one who thinks Noel is just trying to scam snacks? Noel kept looking back at me every few steps as he entered the classroom. I gave him an encouraging smile, watching him hand the snack gift pack to Lucy, then take 2 steps back to apologize. I turned and headed to the teacher's office. The child has done what he was supposed to do. As for the rest, leave it to me. The parent. After some more time had passed, Noel clearly began smiling more often. Even his temper improved quite a bit. He said the teacher called out and criticized those few children by name, Now no one in the class gives others nicknames anymore. Lucy also forgave him and even brought him some cookies as a return gift, unknowingly. It was time for Marius to return. That night, I was sleeping in my room. In the darkness, a pair of hands suddenly appeared, tightly gripping my neck. A furious and deep voice sounded in my ear. How did you get in? Did the system crack the password? Have I not told you? Stay away from my room. I recognized Marius instantly. Without a second thought, I slapped him. A crisp smack rang out. Marius froze for a moment before abruptly letting go. Louise. As the desk lamp was turned on, I rubbed my eyes. Marius, long time no see. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I was pulled tightly into his embrace. You're back. You're finally back, I thought. The shoulder of the pajamas quickly became wet. I hugged Marius tightly in return. Don't be afraid. I won't leave you all again. Bullet comments. Recognized just like that. I thought there'd be at least a few hundred chapters of angsty love. What happened to the promised emotional torment? 666. What did the cannon fodder sister do to the big villain? Recognized after just one slap. To be honest, even though Marius was trying to threaten the cannon fodder sister just now, I really enjoyed it. That neck grab. You know what I mean. If only there could have been a kiss too. Upstairs. Are you revealing something? All night long Marius ignored my assurances, holding me tightly in his arms and refusing to let go. To distract me, he took the initiative to tell me about what had happened over the past 5 years. He said that ever since I left the delivery room, he felt something was off. At first, he thought it was postpartum depression, and secretly consulted many psychologists out of fear, until he noticed that my eating habits, clothing style, and way of speaking had completely changed. Only then was he completely certain. He tested and clashed with the Transmigrator several times. The other party simply laid their cards on the table. She said, I'm here to save your wife's life. As for when I'll leave, that depends on my mood. He didn't dare to gamble with me, so he had no choice but to compromise, maintaining an uneasy peace with the Transmigrator. Hearing this, I reached up and pinched his cheek. So you're not even taking care of your son anymore? Marius lowered his head to press his forehead against mine and said with a hint of grievance, I do take care of him, but Noel's eyes are so much like yours. Every time he acts spoiled. I can't bring myself to scold him harshly, and besides, the latter part Marius didn't continue, but I could guess what it was. The Transmigrator particularly enjoyed a luxurious lifestyle. Her original bedroom was piled high with haute couture dresses and designer handbags, and the jewelry on the dressing table that sparkled with fire, and the sports cars gathering dust in the garage. She didn't know about my accounts or savings, and she never worked. Those things could only have been Marius providing for her. The more time spent working, the less time there naturally was to take care of the children. I thought so to myself, secretly feeling heartbroken for Marius and little Noel. But the next second, he continued, and I don't want Noel to call that woman mom. After it happened a few times, he probably guessed something, maybe thinking that woman was his stepmother. So when Marius disciplined Noel, he would cry and say, if only my mom were here, she definitely wouldn't do this. Me, brat, you're so good at manipulating people, you still need to be taught a lesson. The next day, I surprisingly slept in. When I opened my eyes, it was already noon. I turned my head and saw Marius staring at me unblinkingly all night. Aren't you sleepy? He shook his head, took my hand, and pressed it against his cheek, nuzzling it. My old face flushed red. Back when we were dating, Marius was already extremely clingy with me. Things got better after I started my own business. Now it's like a short absence makes the heart grow fonder. As the curtains were drawn, the barrage of comments erupted in awe. No wonder he's such a popular villain. This face under sunlight is absolutely stunning. Drools. Kinda get why the Transmigrator ran away now. Do you know how she survived these 5 years, stuck with such a handsome guy, able to look but not touch? I'd quit too. Anyone got that pants on fire meme? Lend it to me. Leaning against the headboard, I joined in teasing Marius about his newfound married man aura. He turned around, pulled me close, and kissed me deeply. I was already lying down, ready to take things further. Suddenly, the door was knocked. Noel had arrived. Sun's scorching your butt, wake up already. Me, Marius. I instinctively glanced downward, then decisively got up to answer the door myself. At the dining table, Noel became unusually excited upon seeing Marius return. chirping away like a little bird at dawn, recounting everything she had done these past days and how obedient she had been. I smiled without saying a word. Sure enough, the next second, he started acting cute. Wanting to buy a newly released smartwatch. In the past, Marius would have agreed, but this time he sat upright, glancing at Noelle and then at me. All the money at home belongs to Mom, and so does Dad. The implication was that he couldn't make the decision. Noelle was stunned. He couldn't understand how his father had changed. After spending some time together, he had come to realize that while I appeared gentle, I was actually quite principled. As for Marius, who seemed cold and taciturn, he was actually the one who could do nothing about him, probably wanting that watch too badly. Noelle turned to beg me instead. He no longer simply acted cute, but occasionally offered some guarantees. I smiled faintly, immediately went upstairs to print out an agreement. The agreement states that I voluntarily contribute funds to purchase Noelle the latest model of a smartwatch for children. In return, Noelle voluntarily agrees to comply with all of Mom's arrangements. This includes, but is not limited to, washing dishes, mopping floors, watering plants, cleaning toys, not sneaking snacks, tidying their own room, helping Mom unpack packages and take out the trash, diligently working to lose weight and pull carts, until adulthood. If any terms are violated, minor offenses will result in confiscation of snacks, while major offenses will lead to confiscation of the smartwatch and all toys. The agreement is made in triplicate, to be kept by each member of our family of 3. Noelle looked and looked again, signed the humiliating treaty with grief and indignation. Bullet comments: the watch strap broke, but the watch loan never did. Noelle seems to have bought a new watch, but in reality, he's wearing a summoning device. Days passed unhurriedly, and before we knew it, it was Noelle's summer vacation. That day, I was discussing the company's development plans for the next few years with Marius. The barrage of comments suddenly erupted into chaos. Damn. I've been watching too many light-hearted daily life scenes of the villainous family and almost forgot we're approaching a major plot point. Stop talking about it. This part in the original story pissed me off so much. Noelle pushed Lucy to save himself while escaping, then lied about it afterwards, delaying the rescue and almost getting Lucy killed. Weren't the kidnappers originally targeting the daughter of the Beijing elite's young master? Noelle was just unlucky. Regardless, because of this incident, Noelle will never be redeemed in my eyes. Isn't the female lead at fault too? She was too weak to handle it alone. So why didn't she notify the male lead immediately, waiting until the last minute to call? Was her pride more important than the child's life? Upstairs, are you blaming the victim again? Stop arguing. Noelle didn't seem to push Lucy this time. It's over. Noelle and my Lucy angel got kidnapped together. At this point, I immediately stood up from my chair. Marius asked me nervously what was wrong. Without time to explain in detail, I only told him Noelle might have been kidnapped. He frowned and immediately drove me to the kindergarten. Just as I reached the door, I received a call from the teacher. The news was confirmed, and my vision went black. But Marius caught me. It's okay, Louise, our child will be fine. His voice was calm, but his hands trembled uncontrollably as he dialed the emergency number. Before long, the female lead also received the news. She cried so hard in the kindergarten that she nearly fainted. I tentatively asked her if we should inform Lucy's father. She froze for a moment, then kept shaking her head, saying he already had a fiancé and so on. Bullet comments: it's all a misunderstanding. When will the female lead realize that the male lead only has eyes for you? The female lead's personality is too weak. It's getting tiresome to watch. The main plot isn't as interesting as the daily life of the antagonist's family. Anyway, Lucy will definitely return safely in the end, protagonist halo and all. But Noelle might not be so lucky. At this point, I couldn't hold back any longer. I turned around, walked out the door, and dialed the number that had been saved in my phone for a long time. No matter what, I must save my son. Less than 2 hours after the call was made, a loud roar echoed over the kindergarten. The male lead arrived by helicopter. I briefly explained the situation and directly stated that my child was an indirect victim. He frowned and made one call after another. The kidnapper's location range was quickly identified, but since the kidnappers were armed, the rescue plan still needed to be carefully discussed. I leaned into Marius's arms and took a deep breath. At that moment, my phone suddenly received an emergency location alert from the smartwatch. Comments: I switched perspectives. The 2 kids are so smart. working together to escape through the dog hole in the factory. Holy shit, Noel, what are you doing? Why are you taking off Lucy's clothes? He's trying to lure the kidnappers away himself. He's crazy. Lucy might survive, but he might not. Woo-woo, he sent his location and left his watch for Lucy. I'm staying right here today. Let's see who dares to call Noel selfish from now on. I can't take it anymore. Noel baby, you're such a good baby. I'll never call you Fatty Noel again. My eyes instantly welled up with tears. I quickly relayed the location details to the police. Upon learning the hostages weren't in the factory building, they immediately launched their operation. We found Noel in the early hours of the morning, a tiny figure. Arms and legs covered in scrapes, lay curled up in the bushes with eyes closed. I called out to him twice, my voice trembling. He opened his eyes and whispered, "Mom, you came to save me." I nodded, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face. Little Noel reached up to wipe away my tears, then looked at me with bright eyes, asked me Lucy if she was saved. He protected his friend. Isn't that amazing? I nodded repeatedly. Yes, you're amazing. Noel is mommy and daddy's little hero. He proudly puffed out his little chest, took my hand, and stood up. The next second, he collapsed weakly again. Noel was discharged from the hospital half a month later. He had been frightened and developed a high fever by the time we found him. Originally, I could have been discharged once the fever subsided, but Marius and I were both uneasy, so we insisted on staying in the hospital for observation for several more days. During that time, the male lead's family made 2 special trips to visit Miss Jiang. Mr. Gu, I truly appreciate your help in this matter. I feel terribly guilty for causing your son to suffer. The Beijing circle isn't large, and I do hold some influence. If there's anything I can assist with in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. I politely acknowledged his words with a few courteous responses. If I had previously noted down the information about the male lead being the crown prince of the capital's elite circle, it was with a bit of ulterior motive. Now, I have completely abandoned that thought. Through the barrage of comments, I've come to understand one truth. The protagonist's family is always destined for a life of hardship and misfortune, accidents, cancer, kidnappings, all those low probability, melodramatic events could happen. I don't ask for great wealth or status. I just want to live our own lives in peace and stability. After 2 weeks of eating plain congee and simple dishes, Noelle had predictably lost weight. Her round, chubby face had gained some definition, and her eyes, once weighed down by baby fat, had regained their natural sparkle. Just as Marius said, it really resembles me. Can't help but marvel at how well this child has grown. It inherited all the best traits from both me and Marius. No wonder the comments are showing such favoritism. Another year passed. Noel started losing his baby teeth. To prevent him from sneaking chocolate at night, I installed a camera in the fridge. Unexpectedly, I caught him red-handed on the 3rd day. At that moment, Marius was coaxing me to cover my eyes and focus solely on sensing him. The phone had just rung when he snatched it away. "Louise, focus, Marius, that tickles a bit. How about this then?" I suddenly tightened my arms around his neck, telling him it was too heavy again. But this time Marius didn't listen. I bit my lip, desperately holding back the scream that threatened to escape, gasping for breath again and again. "Marius, be a decent person," he curved his lips and teased in a low voice. "Isn't this what we're doing right now?" The consequence of that absurd night was that by the time I remembered to check the phone surveillance the next day, the chocolate had already ended up in Noelle's stomach. I scolded both father and son with unusual fury. Noelle put on a pitiful act, begging for forgiveness in every way possible. Marius felt he should take full responsibility and began lying with his eyes wide open. "Actually, it was me. I asked Noelle to get it for me. I wanted to eat chocolate," I sneered. "Are you saying you're physically exhausted?" Marius immediately shut his mouth. Bullet comments. "Wasn't it a black screen last night?" "What do you mean exhausted?" "Marius, what's wrong?" "It's okay. Upstairs, go play." Noelle, seeing his old father fail to take the blame for him and fearing my anger, also started talking nonsense. "And Mom, actually yesterday was an important day." "What day?" "The refrigerator's birthday." "I thought about it. It's worked so hard for our family all these years. I should give it a gift." "So you ate its chocolate?" Noelle pouted her little mouth. "It's to help him lose weight." Bullet comments. Fridge. "How could life possibly be the same with anyone?" Refrigerator. "Good owner. I'll follow you in the next life." Noelle, baby, what are you babbling about? So adorable. Let me give you kisses. as the price for sneaking snacks and making excuses. After dinner, I took out the long unseen wiggle car, commanding Marius to sit on it. As usual, burn as many calories as you consume. Noel resignedly began pulling the cart. Marius's face, however, turned bright red. In the square, many strolling people let out kind-hearted laughter. I coaxed Marius by saying I'd take my turn to ride on the third round. He tearfully agreed. When the third round came, he stood up with visible relief. Wife, it's your turn now. Me, I'm done playing. It's getting dark, time to go home. Marius, QAQ. He resignedly picked up the wiggle car. Not far away, Noel ran over, looking left and right, and playfully grabbed both of our hands. Tonight's moonlight is beautiful, and the breeze is gentle. There's a light wind and the chirping of cicadas, and a family of 3 who will always be happy from now on. Extra chapter, Confessions of a Transmigrator. After dying from overwork, I transmigrated into a novel I had stayed up late reading just days before. Unfortunately, I was neither the female lead nor a supporting character, just an obscure cannon fodder who had been dead for years by the time the story began. The system bound to me informed me that I was the wife of the main villain and the biological mother of the junior antagonist. My mission is to warm their hearts and guide them to walk their own path in life. I agreed on the surface, but in reality, I didn't take it seriously. This is how we corporate slaves are. Once the work is in my hands, how I do it is none of your business. I've had enough of being a model worker in my past life. Where would I find the energy to warm others' hearts? Moreover, the cannon fodder mentioned in just a few lines in the book, how would I know what her personality was like? Sure enough, not long after returning from the maternity center, I was Marius found out. I simply decided to throw caution to the wind and lay my cards on the table, then begin to enjoy. Several times, I've seen Marius staring at me eerily while I was asleep, but so what? As long as I occupy his wife's body for a day, he can do nothing to me. Moreover, I was also assigned here by the system. As for disciplining children, I have no interest whatsoever. Just give the child whatever they want. As long as they don't bother me, it's fine. However, transmigrating into a book isn't entirely without its perks. I finally understand what it means to reap without sowing and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. I can now buy high-end custom jewelry without batting an eye. Things I wouldn't have dared to look at before. What does it matter if I can't drive a sports car? I just want it. There's just one downside. Marius keeps himself chaste for his wife, yet won't let me go to nightclubs to find male models. I'm so fed up. What's the point of living like this? Even the most delicious food and the most beautiful jewelry can become tiresome one day. So by the 5th year, I finally couldn't take it anymore. When the system accused me of not completing the task properly, I also started cursing. It thought I couldn't do anything about it. Little did it know, I had already secretly figured out the complaint process, finally managed to escape from this world. As for the remaining mess, when the sky falls, the tall will hold it up. Anyway, I'm out of here. Extra, Noel. Noel couldn't quite remember when he first began to suspect that his mother wasn't his real mother. Perhaps it was when his mother left him with the nanny while he had a fever, happily comparing my new clothes in front of the dressing mirror. Perhaps it was when he made a request that even he thought was excessive, yet his mother agreed without hesitation. Or was it Dad's several unusual reactions? I can't remember. There have been too many things like this, I really can't recall. Noel only felt that his mother's gaze towards him never held any extra emotion. She also wouldn't kiss or hug her child like other mothers do. The way she looks at him is as if he were an object, even when speaking to him. It's only with perfunctory responses. Since you treat me this way, I'll have to retaliate. Noel thought this way, gradually ceasing to regard her with any importance. He still feels sad when Dad is not around, and this sadness only eases a bit when he's eating snacks. Dad has disciplined him before, and he listens when he thinks it makes sense. Only once did he uncontrollably blurt out his suspicion. If my mom were still here, she would never treat me like this. But the moment the words left his mouth, Noel regretted it. His father's expression looked as if his whole being was about to shatter. He saw his father open his mouth several times as if to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. Noel flusteredly tried to apologize. Marius but instead patted his head. It's not your fault. Noel had thought he would always be like this, hated by everyone, and hating everyone in return, until one day, his mother ordered the nanny to tie his fingers. He was somewhat surprised, feeling as if something was different. Later, his mother would discipline him and reason with him. He felt like his mother truly was his mother again. Actually later, Noel had long stopped being so fond of snacks, but in the short term, he still really enjoyed this feeling of being cared for by his mother. Hee. Extra chapter, Marius. The barrage disappeared one day. A year later, Louise got tired of the barrage always calling her cannon fodder sister, so she spoke up, "My name is Louise, not cannon fodder sister." At that moment, it was as if the rules suddenly discovered this peeking bug. Later, Marius learned about this from Louise's mouth. He buried his head against her belly with a hint of grievance. "No wonder you refused to read my diary no matter what." Louise patted his head, said we'd watch it tonight. When entering the password, Louise teased him, "The password is still the date we first met." Marius didn't answer, but kissed her directly. For him, that was the most important day in his life. The content in the diary was actually very simple. Apart from routinely recording what he did and what the child did, the rest was all about missing his wife. Missing his wife was also written very plainly. Only the smudged ink made these feelings appear exceptionally genuine. Louise traced her fingers over the smudged writing, then looked at him before leaning in to kiss the corner of his eye. Like a little child, love can make one profound, and it can also make one childish. He held Louise's head as she tried to leave, gently pressing his lips against hers. The secrets not written in those diaries, he never intended to tell Louise. For instance, he worked so hard not to support the Transmigrator, but to leave enough assets for Noel. Another example, if she didn't return, he would go find her when Noel turned 18. Fortunately, she came back. All the stories came to a perfect conclusion this summer.